guys.
Thank you. All right. Last but certainly not least, overlay zoning district for Artis Alley. Appreciate your patience back there in the back row. Mr. Little.
I thought we had a fan club.
Old School Square is the #1 attendance in the county.
Really?
Culture, yeah. Got that today. I was shocked.
Has what?
I wonder if they count like the tree and stuff like that.
I think those are tickets sold.
Oh,
Sorry.
they count that towards that?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Dana Little, Planning and Zoning Director. Tonight I've got a presentation. It's more slides than I initially anticipated, but I promise to go fast. On Artis Alley and the discussion of a potential overlay district. This item came up at the October 21st regular City Commission meeting. A number of citizens spoke on behalf of Artis Alley. And the news that some of the warehouse buildings that house 27 artist studios, I believe was the number, is in foreclosure, and that the auction for that those parcels had been scheduled. Of course, the concern that was expressed is that the synergies that have been generated over time by the concentration of these artists, many of them here this evening, in the district could be seriously compromised if the warehouse is redeveloped to something else. And the purpose of this workshop item this evening is just to identify some of the current conditions. I think make sure we put it on the radar screen. And what some of the implications to the foreclosure might be, to the solvency of the district itself. And really to authorize staff to continue to explore some of the options and do some research into preserving the studio spaces. These are the subject properties here. This is 4th, Artis Alley there, Northeast 3rd, and then of course here's the FEC. There's the 4 buildings. It's actually 3 parcels. And I broke it up. It's kind of odd here, but these 3 are the aerials here. And there's parcel there, there, and there. Which add up to the 4 buildings themselves. The CRA actually owns the parcel here, 14 and 15, which is referred affectionately to as the cube, I learned. So we met with Sue Romaine, thank you, who organized a great tour for us this past Monday, actually just a few days ago. And if you'll indulge me for a few minutes, I mean, this was my first time through the district, I got to tell you, and frankly, I was blown away. I mean, first of all, you know, you're struck by the fact that these are all working studios. It's not just gallery space. It's not just coffee shops with paintings on the wall. They're actually working artist spaces of all different genres. Photography, printmaking. What you see here in the upper left is cabinetry, sign making. I mean, it's an extraordinary array of different artistic ventures and venues that are going on. Watercolor, oils, etc. And so, to me, that was really stunning. Number 2, close behind, is just the investments that have been made by the tenants or the artists themselves to not only turn their working spaces into places that are beautiful, but to display their work and are unique to each one of the tenants and the functions that they perform. So that was amazing as well. Clearly, a lot of investment, a lot of care. A lot of money, and a lot of time. And what I really enjoyed was just how everything is composed. You know, these are artists, so all of the improvements are done with an artistic eye, which is great. Some of them larger and more extravagant than others, but just again, you would never know from the street the array of spaces and environments that you have, as well as the uses too. You know, photography, stained glass. You still have the old pump shop that's there, which nestles in well, I think, with what's happening. You know, it's part of that sort of funky vibe. Signage, as I said, you know, the working sign shop, pottery, just the variety of experiences and services. We met the Project Runway alumni, Amanda Perna. I got to tell her that my son's favorite show happens to be Project Runway. And Fit Food, you know, I found this fascinating too. I've been going there and didn't really think of it as part of the arts district, but it's actually a neighborhood service, not unlike the fishmonger next door. And so it's all part of the same.
Guitar lessons.
And guitar lessons, right.
And paddleboard rental, and seriously, it's all right there.
And I got to tell you, I bragged a little bit. I used to have a studio on Lincoln Road years and years ago, but the work that we saw there just blew me away. The quality of the work, on top of all of these other things that I've described in terms of the district, is just stunning. And I mean, all different medias, and it was just really, and this is all in 1 hour. And we didn't even get to see everything. So it was just really a phenomenal afternoon. And then, of course, the community that's been built organically around this, the organization and the marketing and everything that else goes with this. So I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm just, from fresh eyes, I'm just telling you that
So
it's
Dana, are you buying out of auction?
I am. That's right.
Get third on third there, too.
So finally, it brings us to the question, what can we do as a city, as a department, as a team, to try to preserve the arts on Artist Alley? The current situation is, Diane Colon is here. We met with the mayor, and we're going to pull our team together if after this to try to come up with some strategies. But the CRA went ahead and did an appraisal for the properties. The 3 parcels is about $4.2 million. The properties are currently bundled with 2 other out-of-town properties. So I know that Mr. Pfeffer was looking at reaching out to the mortgage holder representatives to discuss whether decoupling of these properties was a possibility. I don't know where we are at that right now. Keep in mind, this is very fresh. This just started a week ago. The auction date has recently been rescheduled for February 23rd, which is a good thing because it buys a little bit of time, I think, to come up with some strategies. And of course, there's other improvements that are underway as well. The CRA improvements to Artist Alley itself. This is the plan. You see 3rd. Here's the alley. Here's a rendering of the alley. So there's investment actually going into the infrastructure of the street itself. Currently, the regulations are CBD-RC, which is Central Business District Railroad Corridor. I won't get into all the details, but that name is changing through the LDR revisions, but really effectively that's all that's changing. The uses that are allowed, you can imagine, are pretty much across the board, and that was the intent. But that makes for any sort of zoning solution to this kind of a challenge, and we can discuss that a little bit more. The maximum height there is 48 feet. It is in an area, though, where increased density and height via conditional use is not available. I just figured I'd put that out there so that we know that that's not something that needs to be a concern. We discussed initially the notion of an overlay district, and I think that you could do that, and it would help define the area even further and define the aspirations of the area. But, oftentimes zoning incentives are put in place to initiate redevelopment. And I don't know that I think that might backfire in this case. So I think we want to be careful about that. But we do need to be creative about thinking what we can do. There's certainly economic incentives that we discussed briefly, tax abatements, rebates. I have the old 1996 ABC Carpet Economic Incentive Grant Agreement, where certain creative things were done. Certainly looking for or guiding investors or benefactors to this area is, I think, part of the program as well. And even possible acquisition, be it with the city, the CRA, some combination of the two with investors. I think we need to explore all the different options that are available and try to prioritize some of the tasks moving forward. This evening, like I think so many of the other presentations tonight, we're just looking for guidance, and authorization. Do we move forward? Do we invest some energy and some human resources into this to try to come up with strategies? Personally, I'd like to research what's happened in some other areas, Asheville, Sonoma, Wynwood down in Miami. They've all gone through, I'm sure, similar circumstances. Engage the mortgage holders, pursue the financing options. As I said, Diane's here if you have any questions of the CRA. Even a long-term ground lease of the buildings. There's a variety of things that are outside of my complete understanding that we could probably pursue. But really, I think, define what some of the next steps and strategies are and be realistic about what it is we can do. So that's it, and I'll try to answer any questions if you have any. And as I said, Diane's here to back me up. So thank you,
Dana. Just to add to that, I spoke with the plaintiff's attorney today. They represent LNR, which is a publicly traded, used to be part of Lennar. And LNR is a master servicer for collateral-backed securities, which means that this particular asset or the collateral, whatever you want to describe it, has been sliced and diced a million different ways. So ownership is there is no single owner that you can go to and work something out. That said, I do have the contact with LNR, and I'm happy to provide that to you. They are open to a conversation. So it's complicated, but this is they at least plaintiff's counsel, he was very helpful, very open, and but they've got an obligation to their client, but that doesn't mean there's another pathway. So just wanted to, and I'll get you that information. But
Do we know what properties and where the coupling of, or the package is of the properties that are attached to this one, and what they are valued at, or is this 4.2 inclusive of that value?
that's just an appraisal of this property.
Okay.
Correct.
And the coupling really is less important than the fact that the ownership is, they're bondholders or shareholders or limited partnership interests that are holding these securities, and it's infinitesimal fractional ownership. But that doesn't mean the master servicer has the fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, and they can make decisions, which I did confirm, on behalf of those security holders.
Can they be made separate from the group?
Well, I didn't get into the specifics. I'm just, I got I'm gonna punt to you but they were open, and the first question he asked was this some kind of charitable thing, and I said no. This is they're not going to be interested in anything other than a market rate deal, and I'll just share what I shared with Dana and with Diane, that these incentives, I think, that we're talking about are really, they're front-end incentives, whether it's parking or the things you mentioned about an overlay. There's some things that we could do to keep that as it is, but without controlling it first, and then really essentially deed restricting it in some way or some other that's unfortunately that's really the only for sure path to ensure that, and if it's a combination of city and CRA moving aggressively and essentially doing something there and then reselling it, with the restrictions in place to keep it. So that my point there is, and I'll open it up for other, talking to a plaintiff's counsel or a master servicer, the context of that is only if someone's going to write a check to satisfy their responsibility. So I'll leave it at that. Other comments?
Sure, I'll go.
Commissioner Frankel.
I think tonight's a good example of all the focus put on the beginning of the Arts District and kind of neglect on that end. And to see how this area has organically grown has been amazing. You put Wynwood up there. It's, a smaller scale, of course, but what the Wynwood District has done for downtown Miami is amazing. On the crowd, I see my old friend, Mr. Nix, who used to always represent the Cultural Council. I would suggest reaching out to the county. This is certainly a project, I don't know of any area in Palm Beach County that has kind of developed like this. Certainly it's good for tourism. It's certainly good for the arts. And there could be some dollars that could assist in whatever can be done in this, obviously complicated situation. And, I see sublease. If any of you guys are paying more than $400, you're getting screwed.
Yeah, you're getting screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. But keep up the good work. Hopefully,
Move a
we
block south.
can help you out.
Commissioner Jarjura.
I mean, it's phenomenal on what you all have done in that area. I think part of our city's future success is being beyond just a food and beverage destination. And it's looking at, our tennis center, it's looking at our artist alley, it's looking at the old school square and all of these resources that really takes our city to the next level. I started to call our workshop meetings at home our wish list that I wish we had all the money to do, because, you look at having complete streets and having a multi-use linear park. You look at, having sidewalks that go to all our schools and all our parks and, the safety standards in our infrastructure. You look at, the funding of all our nonprofits, whether it's the library, the tennis center, it's, Auburn Trace, Artist Alley, the Arts Garage, and then you look at what our budget is, and it's disappointing because there's a lot of things that we'd like to do, and there's just not enough money to accomplish it. I think we should give whatever support we can within the realms of our budget. I'm just hearing tonight about doing maybe a purchase of this property with the CRA. I don't know if we have that capability, and it's not our property, and I would like to encourage whatever new owner comes along to maintain what they've created, but unless we purchase it ourselves, we don't really have that power.
Yeah, and I think that, you're right. What I was getting at is we don't have it within our budget, but we certainly have the capacity to borrow. And, I was looking for a short-term, if you could acquire the asset.
Just to do it restricted.
You put in place what you need to ensure, to support what's there, encourage artistic uses. I assume, and this could be easily vetted, that appraisal 4.2 is part land value but part income based. Diane, I don't know if you can speak to that. So those are only going to increase as other the adaptive reuse continues. One less transmission shop is one more ceramic studio, one less. What we have there. It's just so. We don't have the money to write a check, but what we do have the ability to is finance it, and it's thinking out of the box that is, I think, going to be the only way that we can really ensure the stability of that, and we may get lucky. You may get somebody at a foreclosure sale that really likes what's there and is content. But I think it's incumbent upon us seeing what we see there and seeing the effort that's gone into that to not leave it to chance. I think that there's. I think it warrants further analysis to whether or not we can do that and come out the other end in a short term and be made whole and accomplish the goal of whether it's deed restriction, whether it's an SAD zoning classification that this time is done right. There's options, but those options without control don't really do much to allay the concerns of the people that have made this the success that it is. Other comments, questions?
Not much. I think things that have been said are right on. It's an area that's been organically grown, if you will, and workshops are really a wish list meetings, because they are. We talk about the beautiful things that we want to see and that we wish we could have. And then people walk out hating us, saying, well, why didn't you do it? So I think this is a unique area. I think the mayor said something that's on point as well. I think it begs for more analysis to know whether we can, go in and come out successfully. We don't want to leave it to chance. These people have started, for lack of a better word, a movement, a culture there, and we want to support it. But I don't want us to put our hands in it too far, because there's a uniqueness to being organically grown. The people, the artists in the area decide what they want to see, and you put 5 commissioners in it and start telling you what we want to see in your area, and believe me, it might not be what you want to see, and you're the best people to tell us what you want to see. So I want us to find that balance, that the artists in the area are really spearheading what they want to see, but we're more playing a supportive role of saying, okay, well, let's make sure this is available for you if you need it. Not, let's grab this and do this with it, because believe me, some artists may want us to do that, but
Others may not.
you don't want that. You should take the lead, and we can play the supporting role. Thank you.
How do we come up with the figure of 4.2?
Diane, do you want to speak to that appraisal? Do you have, if you can or not?
I don't have it in my hand, unfortunately. And he did do both approaches, income and land value. I don't recall offhand which one he based the value on, but it was done in about a week's time, week and a half time, so it was pretty
And by whom?
quick. Pardon me?
By?
Anderson and Carr in West Palm Beach. Yeah.
Thinking hypothetically and knowing you can't speak for your board, the possibility of assuming that the creditor's plaintiff, that you could actually structure an acquisition, do you think that the CRA would be supportive of some kind of financing joint venture with the city to acquire that and do what's needed between marry up your goals for the cube and the artists and planning and then resell it?
I would certainly recommend that, and I think the board was open to getting involved, because several artists came to our meeting as well, and the board was concerned with what's happening and asked us to look at some options and bring some options back, as well as what you have done with staff here. Our investment in this area, the plans for the alley and 3rd Avenue and 3rd Street, probably be close to $1 million to implement all of that. The warehouse that we have purchased and are converting to an arts incubator, probably $2.5 million would be expended on that. So we have a substantial investment.
On top of what you've already spent.
Right, to purchase the building, yeah.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, you're preserving that investment, if not enhancing it,
Right.
by not seeing. I mean, to me, the fine arts anchor on the south end of Pineapple Grove, and looking at the performing arts anchors that we have on the north end of Pineapple Grove, that we've just created the critical mass that everybody envisioned for an arts district.
Right.
That it's not all in one place, that you actually have the ability to move back and forth, which sustains that whole, makes the whole thing work. Do you agree, Dana, that without control, that we are very limited on what we can do? Or is there anything meaningful that we can do?
From a regulatory point of view, it's everything points towards taking, essentially, if we
Okay.
try to restrict it. So, however, I mean, I'm thinking, and as Commissioner Jaquette said, certainly listening to the district and the community, but it'd be interesting to see, if we did control it for a period of time, what some, I don't know, other improvements could occur there that would support the area, because it's not fully built out. not remove things, but just, it's a very interesting location against the train tracks. What are things that could be done to enhance it and enhance the value as well moving forward? Maybe creating new spaces or something like that. I don't know, I'm just speaking right off the cuff.
And some of the tools that are available, that would normally be available, as Dana pointed out, that might be incentives, in this case may backfire on us because the district has already evolved in a particular way. What I can do, Mr. Mayor, is have staff run some numbers, look at the income that's being generated against what the debt service might be, and give us some sense of where that might put us.
Yeah, I mean, most of that work's already in your appraisal. You're gonna see that income approach in there.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be, I would like to see us, first of all, it's gotta start with plaintiff's counsel. And I'll get you the contact information that I've got. And let's see if there is, because of the nature of the asset, that this may be a pipe dream or there's the real shot at putting this together. And if not, at least providing some letter of interest enough to postpone this sale and give us a little bit more breathing room to figure something out. So we'll start there if everybody's in agreement with that, and you can report back individually and see what you determine, and if it looks like there's a way to craft some type of acquisition, then we can ask Commissioner Jarjura for a loan.
I just want to add up items 2 through 8. We spent a lot of money tonight.
No,
My dad would be shocked to know that I'm the fiscal conservative
Right.
of any board.
no. So I'm just look. There are lenders out there, and I think you would support this, Diane. That would be tripping over their body parts to extend us financing, and we've got about as good a credit rating as a city of our size can have. So these are the kind of things that we can use it for. If there's a way, if there's a path to get there, let's see what we can do to.
I will look into the threshold question. Is this property available?
Right.
Because that's what I get it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect sense, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, folks. We'll listen in. All right. Any commission comments?
I do have a couple.
Commissioner Frankel.
Sure. I wanted to